Welcome to the Viral Edge, where we break down the science behind algorithms and show you how to go viral. Today, I'm excited because I've got my new student, Jason. He's the first guest on this show, and he's been monetized now for just over a month. And in his first month monetized on Facebook, he made over $900 in his first month, which is absolutely crazy. Now, I know roughly from speaking to Jason, his page is about 17, 18, 19K right now. But the interesting thing about Jason's story is he's not even running ads or anything like that on his page. All this growth and all this money is being happening through organic Facebook virality. So, welcome, Jason. It's good to have you on. Before we dive into the main questions, what I want you to do is just tell us a little bit about who you are and how you've ended up talking to me today.
Yeah, for sure. Well, first, what's going on, everybody? My name is Jason. I'm just a regular Joe, regular guy. I have a wife and four kids, very busy life. I've been working from home since 2016. I used to run a business on YouTube known as the Blogging Rapper. That's how kind of how I got into the whole making money online type of thing. And I did pretty well until the channel got attacked and my channel got wiped out. I had to fight hard to get it back, and then once I did, the videos were all gone, so I kind of had to start over. Around shortly after that time is when I heard of Ben and Angie, and I started to follow them, and we've kind of had a friendship over the years. It was recently that I jumped in with the My Socials pay course. I had actually launched my own Facebook page before that back in July of last year, 2025. And I was putting a lot of work into it, posting every single day. I was using ChatGPT to sort of help me build a strategy, create some content, just kind of roughing it. As I was growing my page, it was kind of chugging along a little bit here and there, getting a few followers and a little bit of engagement. But as I was doing it, I was seeing Ben and Angie's posts on my Facebook of things that were taking off. And I started thinking, I'd really like to throw some gas on the fire here. So that's when I jumped in around October to join the My Socials Pay course and to have Ben and Angie as my personal mentors. And like I said, it was throwing gas on the fire because with their advice, with the outline of their course, and everything that I learned from it, I was able to create a stronger page. And around, like you said, around January 31st was when my page got monetized. I remember Ben and I had a personal conversation, and he gave me some advice. After I took that advice, man, that thing really, really shot up big. It was like a week after talking to him that after I got monetized, that my post started to explode, and it's been going really well ever since.
Awesome. And yeah, I remember that conversation because I was excited to share something, and I said to you, if I was in your niche,
Hmm.
I would make these changes, and I'd be really excited to make these changes because pretty much know if you do, you're gonna start blowing up. Now, I know I gave people some rough numbers at the beginning of this interview, but
Yeah.
where exactly is your page right now in terms of followers, and like what's your biggest post? Like how many views? What are the shares and comments looking like on your most successful stuff?
Yeah, for sure. So, I when my page got monetized, I was at 5,000 followers. Now, the reason why I got there was because I had an ad for a little while back in around November. I was running an ad for just about over a month, and This was, of course, something that I learned from the My Socials Pay course, and it worked out because prior to that, I had just maybe about I don't know, maybe 1,000 followers roughly. So I did the ad, grew my following to 15,000. I stopped it in December 15th. And after that, of course, my followers, like the amount I was getting per day dropped dramatically. But a few days later, it started to grow on its own organically. That's how I knew that I had a strong page that was able to grow by itself without really having a need for an ad. So, it was growing pretty all right. And so when I got monetized on January 31st, I had about 15,000 followers in total. And in those 4 weeks, it went from 15 to 19,000 purely organically without any sort of paid ads. It was growing by itself, which was fantastic. I mean, I've never had a page grow that fast before. It was really exciting to see. And it was because of a lot of my posts on my page. I had posts that were, I'll tell you the first time that I saw this and thought, holy crap. I had made a post that was, honestly, I had no idea this was going to take off because I had no intention of making it this way. It was basically a controversial post. And if you know me, you know I'm a very passive, people-pleasing kind of
You're
guy.
not a contra, you're not a I'll say it.
Yeah.
Jason is not a controversial guy. He doesn't try and offend anybody. If I had to describe him, yeah, I guess in a lot of ways he's quiet and passive. He's not the kind of, there's some figures online who are really kind of like super opinionated. Jason isn't really that guy. He's just kind of trying to get on with his life and not bother anybody.
Yep, pretty pretty much. Yeah, that's me. I'm not that kind of guy that likes to push the envelope too much. I want to try to get along with everybody. So I wasn't intending to make this post to be this way, but I had a lineup of posts because I post every single day without fail, every single day. And I started to go about my day. It was morning. My wife, kids, and I, we went to a store that had opened up. We were grocery shopping, and I noticed like my phone kept going off. It was buzzing every few seconds. And when I checked my phone, it was Facebook notifications, new comment, new comment, new comment, new comment. And I started to check my phone and I realized this one particular post was growing incredibly fast. And I was excited, but I started to read the comments, and a lot of the comments were, very opinionated, very strongly worded. A lot of them were sort of negative. Now, I'm not adverse to negative comments. I know that if you're on the internet, you gotta have thick skin, so it wasn't like, oh no, they hurt my feelings. Oh no. But it was a subject that I thought, maybe this could get me in trouble. I'm not entirely sure. So I started asking ChatGPT about it. I said, "What do you think?" And Chat said, "Let it ride, let it ride. Just see where it goes. This is the point where you should think that it could be trouble, but it doesn't sound like it is. So let it ride." So I'm going through my day, food shopping with the family, and still it's comments kept coming. And I saw my stats and I saw it was rising and rising and rising. I ended that day with 67,000 views, which at the time for me was ridiculous because my average back then was about 5,000 at most. But that post grew over the next 4 days into Super Bowl Sunday, and that one post got over 500,000 views, 500,000, which when you compare it to my average back then, 5,000 to 500,000 was insane. So that was my first, I guess, is semi-viral because I got posts that got way more than that now. But yeah, it was insane.
So when you said like you saw all these notifications going off and your average post to that point was like 5,000 views, which is again on a new page is not horrible in itself. But when you first saw that first post take off, like after months of trying to grow this page, what
Mhm.
was that feeling actually like when you realized, oh my gosh, this is actually going basically nuclear right now? What was the feeling like for you?
It was exciting, but also scary. Exciting because this is the moments I had been waiting for. I had been putting the effort in. And, everyone watching, you have to understand that, putting all that effort into your page day after day for months, you're going off of faith, you're going off of the belief in yourself. There are times where, you don't see results. So of course, like any other human, you're gonna have moments of discouragement. I've had many moments of discouragement, and that's why I think it's very important to have people like Ben and Angie on your side because, they know. They even said it our last meeting. Like there were times where I was just like messaging them like, ugh, like, man, like, what's the deal here? Like, not that I didn't believe this would work, but I just had to be human for a moment and say, yeah, man, no, I totally believe in this. I totally believe in myself, but I'm just having a down day. I posted on Facebook and Angie posted right back saying, hey, you got this. Keep going, keep going, keep going. So, that's why it's important to have mentors in a mentorship program like this. But anyway, um, I was excited when it finally started to take off. The only reason why I was concerned or scared is because of the content matter, but because I was like, oh, is all this attention gonna get me in trouble? I don't know. But overall, man, like this was the moment that I was waiting for, putting day after day for weeks and months. I remember going through the holiday season saying, man, I gotta kick off this holiday season, man. Nothing happened. I wasn't monetized then, but then January kicked in and everything changed.
Kind of like when celebrities they want to become famous because they want to be known, and then when they're known, they like stop taking my picture. That's almost how virality can be on the
Hmm.
internet. It's like you want to go viral, but then going viral, it brings a lot of good stuff, but it can also bring like the hate and
Yep.
it's just all part of it though. But yeah, it's an exciting feeling when something pops because that's what we're doing this for, right? That's we need stuff to pop to get views to make the money. And if if you're watching this and you're not monetized on Facebook right now, you'll know Facebook doesn't really give any criteria, which is frustrating. And hopefully they're gonna like give us some criteria soon. Like if you get 10K followers and get this amount of views, that'd be great to know, but they don't right now. But
Hmm.
just know there are also ways that you can make money from virality, even if you are not monetized. So, there's stuff like print on demand and
Yep.
selling your own offers, affiliate offers, but that Facebook monetization is definitely a nice cherry on top of the cake. So I'm
Hmm.
also interested in Jason. What made you want to start a Facebook theme page in the first place? Why do you want to even be doing this?
Honestly, I was looking for ways to make money online. This is something that I've done over the years. I've tried many different ways, and I've made money through many different methods. So this was more of a habit for me is finding ways to, make a side hustle. At the time when I started my page, I had a regular job. I mean, I was working from home, but it was a regular, I had a boss and all that stuff. Um, and I was trying to make some side hustle money, and when I launched my page, I was thinking, what could I do that wouldn't seem like work that I could do after work and would be sort of fun for me to do. And I don't think it's no secret, but I came across the Christian niche. And in fact, ChatGPT was the one that suggested it because I was taught, basically ChatGPT is my best friend. We talk every single day. So it suggested, doing that. And I said, okay, well, what are some very profitable niches? I really would like to, do this, but I like to make money from it. And it gave me some options, and it said, but knowing you, Jason, I would recommend the Christian motivation niche. And I'm like, okay, well, sure, fine, why not? So that's when I launched the page, and it's cool because, like I said, it's something that I enjoy doing, and kind of like what I share on my channel is if you do something that you love to do, it doesn't feel like work. So, take what you really enjoy that you would do even if it was for free, even if Facebook never paid you, even if you didn't do print on demand or whatever. Take something that you enjoy doing because when you do reach that point that you do get paid, it's just a nice layer. It's like, wow, okay, I do this for free, but now you pay me for it.
That's
This is freaking
that's
awesome.
so
This is
true.
life right here. You know what I'm saying? So,
It's so
yeah,
true,
find
dude.
that passion.
Because
Yeah.
it's if you it's really hard. Me and Angie have this conversation all the time. I want um you, the person at home watching this right now, to understand something really clearly. Your job is not a curse, and it is not holding you back from
Mhm.
succeeding online. If anything, your job is a blessing, and it's the thing that will accelerate you to online success if you begin to view your job in a different way.
Right.
Let me explain. Me and Angie do this full time. We make money online, and although, and again, it's not for me to say this, other people can speak for us, but I have to say it to add some context. Although we would consider like how we operate online to be honest and ethical, and we always try and make the best move, knowing that we have an audience that we have influence over. And we're not perfect. Sometimes we've made bad moves and we just hold our hands up and like, hey, this just didn't pan out. This isn't what we thought it would be. I'm pretty sure a lot of people online have done that. But on the flip side of that as well, because this is what we do full time, we also do have to make decisions that are driven by this has to make money because this is what pays us. We're not really in that position where we can go, I really love painting pictures of flowers, and I'm just going to do this for the next 5 years. And even if it doesn't pay me, it's no big deal because this is just my passion and what I love to do. Now, if you're in a position where you have a job and your bills are covered,
Hmm.
and you have something that you are passionate about, you're also in the boat where there isn't that pressure of this has to make money tomorrow. And I have definitely found over the years that if you are in that position and you can work on something you're passionate about and not have that pressure of this has to make me money now, that is an amazing position to be in because eventually, if you are not truly passionate about it and you're doing it just to try and make money, you are going to lose the drive and consistency to continue with that. And without getting religious on anybody, because this is not about religion, I'm just speaking on things that are coming to me right now. But there's a story of a figure in the Bible called David, and this is really quickly because I could say a lot about this guy. He wasn't a perfect guy, but
Nope.
David basically was a shepherd, and he was looking after sheep. So if a lion came along and attacked the sheep, David would have to go out there and he would have to kill the lion and protect the sheep, look after the sheep, feed the sheep, guide the sheep. And eventually the story goes in the Bible that David went from being a shepherd to becoming a king of the whole nation. Now, as the king, what did he have to do? He had to do the same things he was doing when he was looking after the sheep. But now he had to protect the people, feed the people, guide the people. So what I'm trying to say to you is before David was called to be a king, he was already doing the role of a king, but with sheep. He was already doing what he was supposed to be doing before he was basically given an official title, because that was his passion to protect, guide, and feed. So if you're in that boat right now where you're already doing something and you would do it anyway, regardless of having some title of, oh, I have 1 million followers on my theme page, then eventually you are going to make money with that because that passion is going to keep you going until it turns into profits. But if you're doing something purely out of the money, you are not going to have the drive to stick with it. So an
Mm,
important thing here is Jason didn't just decide the Christian niche could be profitable. I'm going to do that, but I'm actually an atheist.
mm.
Jason is actually a practicing Christian
Yep.
who is doing this stuff anyway. He
Hmm.
just wasn't using it before to generate any kind of income. So I just wanted to throw that in there because I've definitely found that to be true over the years. You know, if you start things purely out of money, you are not going to follow through with it for the long term. So it's essential that if you're hopping into a theme page, whether that's Facebook, TikTok, whatever, choose something you're passionate about, and in most cases, that is going to be profitable for you. Now, there are some cases where it might not be, but that's a conversation for another day. But I've
Hmm.
labored that point a little too much, but I wanted to just make that super clear. So, um, Jason, I got another question for you. I know you just in your first month monetized made over $900, which is really a great, strong start. But
Hmm.
what are you hoping this is going to become? Is $900 for you? Is this just okay? I'm happy with that. Are you looking to take this somewhere else altogether?
Well, if I still had a job, that $900 would be awesome side hustle money, or an extra 900 bucks. Wow, that's great. No, actually, I am doing this. Well, I'm full-time working from home. So this page would be a really good income stream. I'm actually on track if things continue the way they are. I'm on track to double what I've earned in January, and that was my projection when I ended the month. Seeing how things were going, it looked like this is going to turn, to double in size. Um, and my hope and what I'm working towards is to build this into a substantial revenue stream. I've been, in addition to staying connected with the community, I've also been researching other people that are, making full-time incomes online through Facebook. It's funny because Facebook knows that there is such a sophisticated platform that if you cough, you go on Facebook, they'll recommend cough medicine. You know, they put everything that you could possibly think right in front of you. So their way of matching you with whatever it is that you're looking for is always readily available. So anyway, my point is that I'm browsing Facebook and I'm all of a sudden seeing a bunch of people sharing their earnings through Facebook, and so I'm seeing people that are making anywhere from ten to $30,000 a month, and I felt in my spirit like this is right. I felt like in my spirit this isn't just hype talking. This is like something that I truly feel at peace about, that I am going to reach that amount. I am going to reach the range of 20 to 30,000 per month. It may take me a while to get there, but it is, I'm in this for the long haul. One of the things that Ben and Angie teach is that if you do something for 90 days, it becomes a habit. And I've been doing this for much longer than 90 days, so it's definitely ingrained in me. This is a habit for me to post every single day, create content every single day. This goes without saying. This is something that's a non-negotiable. No matter where I go, Saturday, Sunday, weekends, vacation, I'm always creating content for my page. And it's something I enjoy doing. So, the money's just going to continue to grow because money follows the consistency, and I already have that dialed to a T. So, it's not some, it's something that I'm excited about, that I know in my heart this is going to only get better.
thing a lot of people don't understand, as I've been talking about this a lot recently, is power of leverage. You have posts right now that you did that didn't get going, but sometimes a week, 2 weeks, 2 months later, the algorithm and the algorithms are all very similar on these platforms, but the algorithm will suddenly pick that up and push it,
Yep.
and you get money from a post that you thought was dead. So the more posts you're doing, you're basically compounding
Hmm.
and putting the law of averages in your favor, because more posts out there is more things for the algorithm potentially to pick up and push. So I know we're 12 days into March at the time of this recording, and you're looking to double your money. And my challenge would be for you to push to try and 5x what you did. Try
That
and
would be great.
5x what you did.
That would be
And
great.
even it,
That's
And even if you 3x, you'd be above where you want it to be anyway. But try and like 5x, because we're always capable of more than we think of. You know,
mm,
it's only going to take a couple of mega viral posts for you to probably go beyond where you want to be. So
right.
it'd be interesting to see. Maybe we'll bring you back and we'll recap this one and see where you did end up in your second month. But what I want to do right now is, can you pull up like some of the stats? I know you had at least one post that did 5 million views, maybe
Mhm.
walk us through the stats and kind of explain why you think that particular post blew up.
Absolutely. Let me see if I can share my screen with you guys. Uh, oh, here we go. All right. Let's take a look. All right. Tell me if you could see my screen.
Yeah, I see it.
Perfect. All right, so this is the one that has been the moneymaker. This, and what I want people to understand is that this is not normal. It really isn't, especially for being monetized for 1 month. This is incredibly not normal. Uh, Most of my posts don't get this much, but if you can imagine posting something that you truly love, that you got posts going every single day, um, and something that you do for free anyway and you want, eventually you would love to turn it into an income stream, a few $1,000s, per month would be really nice. So imagine one single post hitting almost, as you can see here, almost $400. This is just one. This is not my month's worth of posts. This is not multiple posts. This is only one single post. And you can see from here, this post so far. And it's still, by the way, it's still collecting. This, when I shared this originally, I think we were at 350, roughly $350, something like that. So it's still growing. And I made this post 2 weeks ago, I think. Um, and you can see how many views it's got. It's gotten over 5 million views for this one particular post. Now, one of the things I learned, and this is kind of a little trick, is that 99% of it is non-followers. You would think, wow, I have all of these followers. Why is it that, all these followers are not interacting? Well, actually, this is a good signal because what this is saying is that sees your post as valuable enough that it's pushing it through the algorithm to a much wider, much broader audience outside of your follower base. Now, if it didn't find any value in your posts, it would stick to your followers. You'd see way more followers interacting with your posts than non-followers. But when you see that it's 99% non-followers, it's a huge signal, and from that, you can get more followers organically. As you can see here, this one post netted me 563 new followers from this one single post. Um, then you can see, how much interactions it's gotten from the likes to the comments to the saves. No shares, but this was also a pretty controversial topic. So there was a lot of positive and a lot of negative posts that went, comments that went with this. But you can see here how much, like how well this did. My average post doesn't get this many, but this is when you hit that viral point. Not every single post is going to go viral, but if you get a few per month, then this kind of stuff can really kick off. Um, so I don't know if you had any questions about this one particular, or I could just move on to the other posts.
No, I was just letting you talk, but it's in. I was just looking at stuff like who viewed your content, and a big part of like all these platforms and this platform we're on about, if you didn't realize already, is the Facebook. But a
Hmm.
big part of it is looking at the data that it's given you, because if you look at the data of both your posts that flop and your most successful posts, they're really giving you all the information you need to recreate more content like that. I'm looking and going things I'd be going like, because this posted incredibly well.
Yeah.
But little things I might be thinking like is, well, this got 729 saves. What's the reason it got no shares? Was it the kind of post people share? If so, something I could have said or done to push more shares.
Hmm.
Oh, I noticed it's 65% women of this
Yeah.
age group. So what is content that I could possibly recreate that women in particular of that age group like to like save and share? I'm using all the information it's given me, and I'm logically thinking in my brain, and then I'm maybe even feeding that information to something like ChatGPT, and I'm saying, I made this post. It did really well. Here's the breakdown. How could
Hmm.
we recreate more stuff like this? And I'm sure Jason's probably done this himself.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the only
Yeah.
really thing I would say. People sometimes they're not looking at the data these platforms are giving them, and basically take advantage of the data and something like ChatGPT that can analyze the data and tell you, this is why this post hits. This is what we need to do to recreate this kind of post.
Yes. Yeah. And that's another bit of advice that you gave me recently that I've done. So I've gone into my back office. I generated the report, like you mentioned, and I fed it to ChatGPT and I said, say, give me some data on the winners and help me recreate them. And I do have to make a quick correction on myself here. It says here 0 shares. Facebook, let me just say this. Facebook is weird because it says 0 shares,
Because
but I'm on my phone
I was
also.
going to say, I'd be surprised if there's no shares on that.
No,
I'd be
I
really
got
surprised.
so on my phone, I'm looking at the post right now, and it's got 4.9 thousand shares.
Yeah, so there's a
So
lot of shares. Yeah.
yes,
Because
and
something of this level of virality, for it not to have any shares,
yeah,
would be very weird. Yeah.
I wish I could tell you why it says 0 here, but again, Facebook
Just
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 has.
glitch, just glitchy.
Mhm.
Sometimes I will go into my own dashboard and it'll say this post got no followers and made no money, and I can look later and it's completely different. So it just glitches out sometimes. But so I
Yeah.
know you got some other posts, Jason, with some other results you were gonna skip to real quick.
So this here is my second top, and so this one is actually the first one, just repurposed and given a different angle. So, it's kind of
And
it's
that one
riding
says, I
off.
noticed, sorry, Jason, I noticed really quick, it said, you lost followers. Is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
so?
Well,
That must have been controversial in some way.
so my biggest winners are the controversial ones, and the one that kicked off in my first initial viral post that also lost me followers too. So one of the things I did was I went to ChatGPT, my best friend, and I said, "Holy crap, I'm losing followers. Is this bad?" It said, "No, actually, it's not a bad thing. The reason for that is because you're gonna have a lot of people that just don't line up with what you are sharing with, and that's perfectly fine because they would bring no value to your page whatsoever. So." Say goodbye to them. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't stress about it. Because one of the things I noticed was with this post, so there's different data points that I look at. Um, per post, yeah, this looks kind of staggering, right? Negative 159. But overall, I earned more followers in total that particular day than lost. So, and of
Yeah.
course, this is one post. I'm posting 15 times per day. So I got a lot of
Yeah.
different posts that are growing my audience rather than losing my audience. Um,
Let's just pause there for a moment, Jason, because there's
yeah.
two important things that you've said that might go over people's heads. The first thing is it's okay to lose followers because some people are going to be like, oh my, but yeah, number one, your content over time is naturally going to attract people who love you, and
Hmm.
it's going to attract or push away people who don't vibe with you, and that's okay. So if Jason was posting one time a day and every time he posted he was losing 159 followers, we'd probably have to go, what are you doing wrong that's making everybody tune out?
Yeah.
But this is just a small fraction of what he did that day. Now, the second thing you said, Jason, is you're posting 15 times a day. Why
Hmm.
are you posting 15 times a day? Won't won't Facebook hate you and think you're spamming when you post 15 times a day?
Not at all. And I saw this on my feed the other day, which I thought was ridiculous. But someone said, "Oh, this one particular page posts every 3 minutes," and I'm like, "Holy crap! This person must have no life." You know, every 3 minutes is insane. Now, I don't know how true that is, but whether it's true or not, it's not the point. The point is like I definitely would not do that. What I do is I find the sweet spot. I find what my audience resonates with, and I adjust based on that. Now, I did start back in July with, I don't know, anywhere from 5 to 10, roughly around that area, per day. And I've adjusted ever since. And when I post, my intention is not to just have posts for the heck of it. My posts are, bringing in the content that I think is most valuable. So, for me, it's not something that I would consider, oh, this guy is spamming. It's, yeah, this, I want more of this, and so it's kind of like a
So,
supply and
so what
demand
so
type of
what
thing.
you're saying is your posts are not just, let's just throw anything out there. Your posts
Mhm.
are uh modeled and crafted off stuff you will believe has viral potential while
Hmm.
bringing value and entertainment. You could really just use the word entertainment because entertainment is value. That's why people like entertainment, but you're bringing value to that audience. And what you've done is over time is, which is something we teach all this. There's a blueprint behind all this. This isn't just throwing mud at the wall. But on top of
Hmm.
that, what you did is you kind of started off in the 5 to 10 post range, and you've steadily built up to this. You didn't just go one day, I'm going to go from one post to 15 posts. You've kind of almost warmed your page up to get it to this point.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the strategy behind what he's doing here. It's like, and this is another big thing because I would say before Jason got started with My Socials Pay, that was really what he was missing. He was just missing strategy behind what he was
Yep.
doing. There's a lot of you watching this right now. You're already showing up and you're posting.
Hmm.
You're just not applying the correct strategy behind what you're doing. And Jason got a strategy, and he made one or two tweaks to that strategy, and he
Hmm.
went from in the group one day going, is this ever gonna happen?
Yep.
To holy crap, I got over 500,000 views on Super Bowl Sunday. So I'm gonna
Yep.
pass it back to you though, Jason.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll just say this, again, I like to tap into the human aspect because I've gone through the gamut of feelings here. Even though my posts have done incredible, there are days where I feel discouraged. It's kind of like, well, yeah, I did make, I did make over 900 bucks, one month. I did get posts that were viral to hit 3.4 million views in total. But is that going to change? Maybe it was a fluke. I go through all different sort of thoughts, and I know that people would think that about themselves too. So, I just want to let you know that this is something that you have to work on daily. It's truly a mindset thing. You have to exercise your mind, to believe in yourself. I mean, I'll say this. My socials pay gave me the strategy like Ben said, and being part of their mentorship program gives me that accountability, gives me that avenue of bouncing things off of them and the community that I'm a part of. But at the end of the day, none of that matters if you don't follow up on yourself, if you don't work on yourself. And if you only see the things that are not producing results and you magnify that, then you're not going to be in it for the long haul. But if you work on yourself, you have the faith in yourself, knowing that, all right, I got the strategy. All right, I got the mentorship. All right, I got all the tools I need. Now all I need to do is put boots to the ground and take serious action. And I mean
Yeah,
serious action. Then you
exactly.
can do this. It's not a matter of if. It then turns into a matter of when. So
Yeah, it's the correct strategy is only as effective as the consistency level of the person applying the strategy. It's like, yeah, you know, you can give me a gun with a bullet in it and say there's the target, but if I don't pull the trigger, it's all irrelevant. It's
Mhm.
just you've got to show up. Nobody's going to do the showing up part of it for you. Now, fortunately, we're living in a day and age where softwares and AI make it very simple for people to be, to be consistent. Jason isn't doing all this work manually. He's able to schedule a lot of his posts using a software that we use, and he's able to use AI to help him brainstorm. And it's like really, compare that to having to do 12-hour shifts in a coal mine or something. It's not difficult, but as Jason said, the difficult part is conquering your own self and
Mhm.
mastering your own self and saying, I'm going to take the couple of hours today I need to do to make this strategy work for me, because the strategy isn't the broken part. The broken part is almost always the person who doesn't believe the strategy will work for them or implements a strategy for 2 weeks and then cries that it doesn't work. It's almost always the person. So,
Yep.
Jason, show us one more post if you've got it. And as you're showing this post, the question I wanted to ask is, you've mentioned controversy a bunch of times. Is is that the reason you think people stop scrolling on your most viral posts? Is it controversy, or are there other things as well as controversy?
Oh yeah, it's definitely more than just controversy. Controversial just happens to be the ones that are, reaching the heights that they're at, but they're not alone. Because my page is about faith, a lot of my faith-based posts are going off as well. I do have different themes. So like encouragement is a big thing of me. As I'm not the controversial kind of guy. That's not in my core. But you see what works and then of course you double down on it, right? So of course I'm gonna, have that as part of my strategy. But it would be nothing if I didn't have who I am breathing into my content. So I do have a lot of posts that are they resonate with my faith. They resonate with the encouragement, the motivation. Faith is a big part of it. So, what gets people to stop scrolling is, you have to structure it in a way that does get people's attention. So, a lot of my posts, They have declarative statements. They have things that, are like, if I profess my faith, I'm going to tell you, like, for example, Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. And I'm
which
not questioning.
which
I'm not.
which which in
Good.
itself, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you keep saying
Yeah.
things, and I like to go a little bit deeper on some things, which in itself could even be seen as controversial,
Yes.
even though that's
Yes.
just a declaration of your belief.
Exactly.
So if if you believe fishing is the greatest hobby on earth, you just showing up and saying, I love fishing, there is no greater hobby on earth than fishing, is going to really get at some people because they think their hobby is the greatest. And it's going to cause a reaction in people just by you
Uh-huh.
declaring that you're most passionate about fishing.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know what you expect from a Christian faith-based page. Of course, I'm going to say Jesus Christ is the only way. But you're
If you're
absolutely
not
right.
saying
Like,
that as a Christian page, you might need to change your niche.
exactly, right? Exactly. I mean, I'm just professing what I believe. And for me, that's not controversial. That's just who I am, and that's what I believe. But you're right, it can be seen as controversial. And in fact, I've gotten people from different faiths interacting with my content, even for something simple as that.
Sometimes the most controversial thing you can do in a world full of copycats is be yourself
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
have the boldness to just be yourself, whatever your self is,
Hmm.
whatever your true self is. So, Jason, did you have another post real quick?
Yeah, I'll go through these last few because they're not as exciting as the first two. So this one, oh wait, of course we looked at that one. Let's see, it is. Hold on. All right, there we go. Kind of getting in the wrong direction here. Okay, so this one, and so let's just say this one and even this one. So these are three more I wanted to pull up. Now, of course, they're not as exciting as, $400, $67. But one other thing I wanted to, bring to the table here is something that Ben actually touched on a little bit earlier, which is the compounding effect. So, you're not going to get every single post that's going to hit the viral streams, every single time. Those are nice boosts, and it's signs that the algorithm likes you and finds value in what you're doing. But on an average day, on an average post, this is the kind of stuff that you can look forward to getting if you are consistent and if you're building your brand. Post that gets 15 bucks, 14 bucks, even $6. I got posts that are making less than $1. And so you would think, oh no, those are the losers. No, they're the ones that are compounding over time. My income is not made, let
Exactly.
me just say this, my income is not made from the viral posts. My income is made from the smaller posts because it's those that compound together that build that substantial level of income.
Yeah.
Um, so the
It's
things, okay?
it's exactly that's exactly how it works. If you because we're showing you the we're not just showing you the highlight reels here, guys. It's these level of consistency and the smaller posts that add up. If you're posting 15 times a day, every
Mhm.
day, and you're growing your audience, and your posts are making $4, $6, $15, do you realize how much that stacks up over the course of 30 days, 6 days, 90 days? And then
Mhm.
something you posted 90 days prior that you thought was dead, suddenly Facebook pushes and oh my gosh, this post just made me $600. And you
Yep.
thought that thing was dead, but because you showed up and the law of averages was allowed to work for you and the law of compound was allowed to work for you, and you realize that um, money loves volume and speed. So you were posting in high volume with a strategy behind it, and you were posting at speed, meaning you were doing this every day in let's let's say 2 to 3 hours, maybe a little bit less for some people, maybe a little bit more, but certainly way less time than any job you can work on the planet. But this
Hmm.
is why Jason's getting these numbers, and I'm glad he's showing you these $6 and $15 posts because, like he said, this is really what's going to make up the majority of that income, not the nuclear viral posts.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's great to get those. But what I see as a success for this is not so much how much I've earned, but the reach. So even for this one that only earned, 15 bucks, this one got over, well, almost a million views here, and you could see all the interactions. So again, shares are not showing for whatever reason. Facebook is Facebook, but yeah, I've gotten 53 net followers from here. So all its interactions, you can see that again, this was pushed to the non-followers, so this is being pushed outside of my base. This shows me right here that this is a successful post. And then so when I see this, what I do is, okay, cool. Let me take this, let me recreate it, let me give it a slightly different angle. Let me, this to me is a winning post. So I'll take this and go. And it's like Ben said, sometimes, you post this and then weeks, months fly by, it takes that post and it can push it up way up in the algorithm. In fact, a lot of my posts from way back in October are still getting comments, still getting shares, still getting interactions. And this was months and months and months
Really?
ago. And so I'm getting paid like, what you see now is $15. But what you see for this one particular post a month from now or 2 months from now, most likely
Double,
will be
triple,
more than
five
that.
times. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. And again, Jay, I didn't even think this interview would be this long, but hopefully you guys are getting value out of it. But something you should do with every post, especially your most viral posts, Jason just touched it, is repurpose that post with a slightly different hook or slightly different angle. Each post you do it at least three times with a little bit of a different hook, a little bit of a different angle, maybe hook or angle number one. And we're primarily here talking about uh, you know, text and image posts, but
Hmm. Yeah.
same with reels. Slightly
Yeah.
different hook, slightly different angle. Maybe the first two hooks and angles don't work, but angle three does. So don't just think something was a flop, give it two or three attempts just from a different angle. So, Jason, before we stop sharing your screen, did you want to say anything more on stats, results, anything in general that you're showing here?
Uh, no, I think this pretty much says it all. Like I said, the compounding effect is very powerful, and it's what makes the most of your income. Um, so yeah, no, I think that's pretty much all I have to say on this.
Sweet. So yeah, didn't know if I was going to click that and end the call. So we're still here. That's a good thing. So I want to just wrap up with a few kind of like quick fire questions here, Jason. The first question I've got for you is, and this might seem like didn't we just cover this, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Sure,
Do
go
you
for it.
think virality is luck, or is there a formula and a science behind it?
There's definitely a science behind it, but again, you only have so much power to make something go viral because there are times when you make a post that think is not going to hit those marks, and it does. I follow a very specific formula based on my data, based on everything that I've learned through my posting. I've worked on a particular formula, and every single post that I make follows that particular formula. Now, some of them just don't fly off. They just don't get any traction, but others really do. Um, as long as you find what works and what resonates with your audience. And of course, I want to stress this, find what resonates with your audience. And that can only happen through consistent posting. You're not going to get that kind of data from posting 2 weeks at a time and then, oh no, I still don't know what they want. No, you got to be consistent. You got to, show up every single day. As you do that, as you build that rhythm, you find out what people are interacting with, and then you take that and you double down. Now, that usually is the right formula for getting something to go viral. But you have to understand that you could do everything right, and still a post won't fly off. but you never know because as long as you follow that formula, as long as you are consistent, you have the winning method, the winning method for having a post go like that.
80/20 rule, it applies to everything. Doesn't matter whether you follow the formula to the T. The reality is 80% of your posts really don't do that great,
Hmm.
but that 20% is what drives all your growth and your money. And you just got to go through the process of following the formula and posting and
Yeah.
basically not worry about don't put too much energy into this one's going to go viral or this isn't. Basically the Facebook algorithm is going to decide what it wants to push. You just
Right.
have to know that if you have done the correct formula at some point it's going to push something. But if you put out 100 posts and 80 of them flop, don't be upset, don't be surprised. That is just literally the nature of how all success works, no matter what you're doing. 80% of it is really not gonna do that amazing, but you can only get to that 20% that does if you're prepared to go through the 80% that doesn't. That's just the reality of how the whole universe works right there.
True.
So here's another question for you. What from other people you've been looking at, what's the
Hmm.
biggest mistake you think people make when they're trying to grow a theme page?
Mm. That's a good question. One of the biggest mistakes that I see people trying to make is, and this may be controversial in itself, but I'm just going to say it, copying other people. Copying other people. Because one thing that I've mentioned was that Facebook knows um, what you're searching for. So it will present all the things that you're looking at. So as I'm going through this journey, I'm seeing a lot of people, with similar theme pages showing up on my feed. And I even found a copycat of mine, someone that, took one of my original posts. Now, here's the thing. I follow my socials pay. There's a way to get inspired from other people's content, and that's cool. You take it, you make it your own, you publish it. Um, I even had a post that I was inspired from two pages that were huge compared to me. At the time that I made the post, I had 16,000 followers. I got 19 now, but when I did this post, I had only 16,000, and I got inspired by a post that this person who had over 700,000 followers, and then the other one had 1.5 million followers. They pretty much copied each other. I don't know who did it first, but they had a post that was nearly identical. All that was changed was the logo, and that's pretty much it. It was a ripoff, right? I got inspired. I recreated it from scratch, different image, different text, different everything, but it was an inspiration of it. I posted it. My engagement shot through the roof, did way better than both of those combined. And again, these are pages
Because
that,
Facebook saw yours as original content,
yeah,
even though even though the idea was modeled off inspiration from those pages, so and that's the essence of what we're doing here. We're not, we don't teach people to rip off or copy. We definitely teach people to model viral content, but there's a particular way to model that content that makes it your own voice, your own style, your own brand, and your own look. But the viral science behind it is backed by something that was already proven. So
yeah,
in this case, Jason did that, and he outperformed the other two guys who basically just flat out copied each other, let's say.
yep. And they're the big boys in the game. So the fact that I did better than them
Yes.
was really
So
exciting.
so what would you say to somebody if they were, let's say they were starting today?
Hmm.
Day one of buying the My Socials Pay course, what would you tell them to focus on first in regards to their theme page?
Oh man, just people are always looking for the secret. They give in something and they're like, okay, yeah, that's fine. But how is this person getting such amazing results with this course? So I've had people come to me and say, well, what are you doing? How are you doing it? How are you doing it? What's the secret? That kind of thing. I'm telling you that you follow the course religiously, step by step. You don't skip a step. You don't, think you know more than Ben and Angie. Some of the stuff you may think, oh yeah, I kind of already knew that. Or some of the stuff you think, okay, well, yeah, that makes sense. It's elementary. It's, simple. I get this. But then they think, oh, well, they know more than the people teaching the course. And that's the problem right there. You have to follow it step by step. Um, that's literally what I did. And again, I had my page already when I went into, my socials pay. But I didn't act like I knew more than them because at the time my results did not reflect that, and it still doesn't reflect that. I just took everything as it was, absorbed it, and watched it repeatedly. It wasn't just one time that I went through the course. I went through it a few times. And you can still learn from it. So the first thing I would do is just take it at its most basic, at face value. Follow the course exactly as it's lined out. Watch every single module, and ask questions. You have to be part of that community that Ben and Angie provides because then you're not alone, and that there's certain questions that ChatGPT just can't answer for you. There's got to be that human touch, that AI just will not be able to match. And yeah, it's that's pretty much the best advice I can give because the secret sauce is simply follow the follow the course. That's really all it
Yeah,
is.
everybody always wants a secret sauce, and people will buy a course and they'll then say, "So what do I do next?" And I'm like, "You watch the course," and it's like
Do
I
it.
think that a lot of people have a hard time actually understanding how you actually learn in the most effective way. And I always say there are just a small handfuls of things you need to do when you buy a course if you want to get the most out of it.
Hmm.
Watch every video, but start with whatever video you're watching. When something important is said, pause that video, make a note of it. And if it's an implementation point, go and implement it right away. Come
Yeah.
back, watch that video, and rinse and repeat that same process. And if you watch the video and you get to the end and there's something you don't understand, go back and watch the video. That's how you digest a course. And a course is like a good book. You can read a book today and then in 6 months from now, read that book and something else will jump out to you. The course is not designed for you to just go through one time and that's it. Within
Right.
a year, you want to go through that whole course two, three, four, 5 times, and something each time is going to jump out to you that you missed the first, the second, the third, and the fourth time. So this is how you learn, digest, and succeed with an online course. So, my next question for you, Jason, we got three more. What's
Okay.
the easiest type of content, in your opinion, to go viral with right now?
Memes for sure. And that's interesting because when I first started my page, I was focusing heavily on reels. And they do take more time to create. I mean, there's a way to make it easier, but it's definitely more time consuming for me than memes. And I figured, well, videos are the most consumable type of content. So, I want to lean in heavily on that. And that's the one thing that I strayed from the course because Angie, in the course was saying, well, I'm doing all memes here. This is what I recommend doing. And I'm like, no, that's cool, but I really think the reels are going to take off. They never did. So I really focused, once I got monetized, and once I had some conversations with Ben in particular, I leaned more heavily into the memes, and the memes is what's taken off. Now, I am now re-strategizing my reels and slowly implementing them, and I am seeing results on the reels now too. But it wasn't until way later, the memes are what's really taken off.
Which is funny, and every page can be slightly different, and reels definitely can hit on a
Yeah.
page for sure. Um, and here's an idea for Jason he might have already done, but if it was me now, I'd be looking at my most successful memes and I'd be thinking either using AI or if I want to be on the camera, how can I take my most successful memes and turn them into a reel? How can I repurpose this and turn it into, because it's already proven to work in one format,
Yep.
and maybe how can if I'm doing plain text posts on my page, how can I use this as a plain text post and in as many different formats as I'm using for my page as I possibly can. So, um,
Yeah.
if you had to start tomorrow with a brand new page, give us the three-step strategy you would use to get that new page going.
Okay, so step one, find the specific niche that you want to focus on. Figure out how you're going to create that content for that specific niche. You want to stay relevant. You want to stay within, that particular field. You don't want to, if you start a page on puppies, you don't want to talk about lizards. You know what I'm saying? You want to make something that people are already looking for. So what they're looking for. That's your niche. Find it, identify it, know how you're going to create that content for it. Two is create the content strategy for it. You want to make sure that you're not posting for the heck of it. Some pages can be highly successful only posting 5 times a day. You don't have to do 15, you don't have to do 20. And in that one page I heard about, you don't have to post every 3 minutes. There is something called content bandwidth that I learned that Facebook does. And, Facebook will only give you a certain amount of exposure as it sees fit. So if you think that posting more is going to win for you, it's not. Every post has to have a purpose behind it. So could your page do well with 5 posts? Sure. Could your page do well with 10, 15? Sure. It just depends on what your content strategy is. Find that content strategy and stick with it. Step three is doubling down on the winners. It doesn't matter how big or small your page is, you're going to get some data based on your activity. So if you only have, a few posts that are getting a few hundred views, well, the ones that make the most, whether it's like, if you got posted like 100 views, but then another one that's got 500 views, take that one that's got 500 views, recreate it like Ben was saying, find different formats, so, double down on it, give it a different angle, give it a new coat of a new polish, whatever. Basically double
I know
down
what
on
you're
those.
trying to say.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
new coat of paint.
There you go. There you go. Words escape me right now. But yeah, so find the winners, double down on them. And as you do so, you remember this, it is a compounding session. You continue through consistency, through that identifying the niche, knowing your content strategy, and rebuilding the winners. You continue that consistently, you're going to build more, more, more. That snowball is going to get bigger, bigger, and bigger as you're climbing up the mountain. It is going to feel stressful at first because you're not seeing results. You're not seeing thousands of dollars hit the bank. But that's why when you climb up that mountain and build that momentum, you got a huge snowball. Once you hit the peak, that huge snowball is running down super fast and you are benefiting from all of the hard work you've ever done. And going down the mountain is a lot easier than going up.
Awesome. So here's our last question. Do you think you would have gotten these results if you were trying to figure this all out on your own?
No, not at all. I had hoped that I could have, but there's only so much that you can know by yourself. And again, I'll say this, ChatGPT, AI, yeah, they're great tools. I'm not trying to downplay them. They're great tools and they can help you get a lot, get far. But when I joined My Socials Pay, I knew firmly that this was throwing gas on the fire, that this was going to help escalate things even more. And that's exactly what happened. You can't know everything by yourself. And the course it gave me everything I needed. But of course, you're human. You're gonna have questions. You're gonna interpret the content, the material a certain way that may not be exactly what it's telling you. So that's when you go to the group. That's when you show up on the group calls. That's when you ask questions. And, mentors like Ben and Angie will direct you. Um, to the direction to the path that you want to go. Of course, it'd be nice if I knew this on my own. Of course, everybody wants to know, they want to figure things out on their own. But that would have taken me a lot more time. I would have been still chugging along if I didn't have this course, if I didn't have Ben and Angie. I'd still be trying to figure things out, and my results would be way less than what they are now because I invested in myself by getting into this course, because I believed in myself by being consistent, and because I lean on the backbone, which is the mentorship, the knowledge, the experience of what Ben and Angie have created. I'm able, again, he mentioned this before, it's leverage. I'm able to leverage off of them and get to where I am. I could not have done this alone. And so I recommend anyone watching this, if you think you can, you probably could, but it would take you a lot longer. You make a lot more mistakes. And by investing in a course like this, investing into the mentorship and being part of the community, you escape all of that. If you want to go faster, which everybody does, then this is what you need. You don't need to do this on your own. You need to be plugged in, and you need to learn from people that have already been there and can bring value to you and help you grow.
Jason, I want to thank you for joining us on the first episode of what I've decided to call the Viral Edge. It's been great interviewing you. Just keep going. You're doing everything right. I can only see it going for the most part up from here, and you are the perfect definition of just showing up and applying the blueprint. So. What I want to say in closing is this: if you enjoyed this interview and you want to see more interviews like this, my plan is to every single week, and it's going to be hard probably to keep finding more and more people to interview, but every single week, I either want to take a piece of my own content and that went viral or semi-viral and break it down and explain the virality behind it, or I want to find somebody like Jason who is going viral and get them on and get their thoughts on virality. So if you like that kind of content, hit that subscribe button and push that notification bell, turn on all notifications so that you can follow along with these weekly shows. I'm also going to leave a link to Jason's channel in the description box below if you want to follow Jason's journey, because I know he's documenting some stuff on YouTube too. There'll be a link to go over and follow him too. Now, here's an important thing, and we'll finish on this. Isaac Newton once said this, and it's one of my favorite quotes. I've used it to get all of my success on the internet. It hasn't been alone, it's been because of this. He said, if I have seen further, it is only by standing on the shoulders of giants. And what he
Mm.
meant by that was the reason he was able to achieve the success he did in his scientific career was by building on the work of those that came before him. And by nature, we very often just want to figure it out alone, and it costs us time, money, and headache. The smartest and fastest thing you can do if you want to get there quicker is by following the blueprint of a mentor, somebody who's already done what you are looking to do. So if you want to speed up this journey of virality, you're looking to grow on Facebook, you're looking to get monetized on Facebook, you're looking to have a theme page where you can make money in two, three, four, five, even seven different ways, I encourage you to check out our course called My Socials Pay. That is going to be the first link I leave in the description box below. And look at what Jason's done in a month. Now, does this happen for everybody? No. Possibility, though, is there if you actually show up and get started. So check that out if you're interested in some guidance. And until next time, stay on the viral edge.